Hey everyone, the Collector 27 here, coming at you guys with another awesome action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series Heavy Infantry Mandalorian. Let's take a look. So first off, I just want to say that this figure is absolutely amazing. I love it already. It is just so cool. I'm very happy that I was able to get him at a really good price, just a couple dollars over retail, which is really good considering that he usually goes for anywhere like between $50 to $70 for what I've seen him go for online. But I was able to pick him up for a really good price, so that's really cool. So let's just talk a little bit about the detail now. The paint apps on here look really good. It looks really worn and battle damaged. Uh, he has all these little like scuff marks all over him, obviously intentional. These were painted by Hasbro, where like you could see like as if the blue paint were to be peeling and showing the armor underneath. He has a really cool black wash on like the gauntlet areas. If you can see that, even some detailing in there where it looks like there's some scraping going on. It looks really good. The paint apps look really good. Everything came out really clean. I don't think I have any gripes with the paint or anything messed up. You can see if you look real close that even on his arm he has like this little plate area with all these like little buttons on them, maybe to control like, I don't know, maybe the like flamethrower out of the side of his arm or something. But it looks really good. So let's go ahead. Let's get into accessories next. All right. For his accessories, he comes with this kind of like space Mandalorian type of minigun, which looks really good. Has some really good paint apps on it on the front here of the barrels here, but that is all connected. Let's see if I can get out of his hand to this. Let's see if I can get this out. There you go. To this backpack, which is really cool. And this backpack has some really good paint apps on it as well. The good gunmetal gray, some silver. The gun right here is actually attached with this cord that's pretty pliable and bendy. It's not bendy as in like a bending wire in there, but it's just a soft material that allows it to kind of give a little bit. And so this, obviously, as you saw, it plugs in on the back of. Oh, I guess he fell over. See, stand up. There you go. It plugs in on his back, which is actually really cool. And it has this rectangular plug right here, so you can just put it on there. But before we do that, the gun also has storage right here, where there's a plug right here and a peg right here, and you can just place it. See right there, slides in. Just be careful, it is a little bit tight, so if you do have this figure or you're planning on getting it, when you push it in there, this is a small, kind of thin peg, so just be careful not to break it when pushing it in there. Don't force it. And then this type of hose right here actually goes into this peg hole on his arm. So let's get this on there. So we just place this on his back, push that in, and then you can see that it has this kind of like half type of like crescent shape to it, and this does too. So you just got to line up the shape and then just plug it in there, and it'll plug in all the way. I had trouble with it at first, but after a while, plugging it in over and over and over, and now it stays pretty good. And it doesn't really hinder his articulation or anything like that. So we're going to get into the articulation next. Okay, for this guy's articulation, it's actually really good. It's similar to the regular Mandalorian figure that we got previously, and the fact that they have this type of neck joint going on again, almost like an import figure or an SH Figure Arts, where there's a ball joint down at the neck, like a dumbbell joint, and then there's also some sort of dumbbell joint in his head as well. So that's really cool, and so it gives that added articulation a little bit more. However, not too much more, where he can look down that much. He could look up only that much, which, considering that this is supposed to be a jetpack, I do wish he looked up just a tad more. He does have, oh, there goes his backpack. Let's just take it off for now. There we go. He does have these butterfly joints, which are really good, and they just feel really smooth. They're not super tight like we've seen on some other figures from even like Marvel Legends. where the butterfly joints are too tight. These are actually really good. They slide around like butter, really good. He has a single jointed elbow that actually meets at just about 90 degrees. His arm will go out, but just keep in mind that there is the shoulder plate, which kind of gets in the way, but it actually slides over the shoulder area, which allows his arm to go about that far out. And it's the same on both sides, so that's pretty cool. Just be careful. You don't want to accidentally ruin these and pop them off, so you could get them like that. Pretty good articulation in the arms, considering he's an armored figure, which I appreciate that these are actually a really, really soft type of squishy material. He does have this swivel right here at this armor piece. I thought it was like loose or broken or something, but no, it's actually supposed to be articulated there, and I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it is, but it's like that on both sides where you can see I'm not moving the swivel at the elbow, I'm moving it just below where the armor piece is. Let's see if the camera will focus. See this part right here. So that's pretty neat. For this side, he does have a roll of the dice type of motion, which is strange considering he doesn't come with a pistol or any other sort of gun or weapon that requires him to hold it that way, because this is like a little mini gun, which I'll put that on him in a bit, show how you put it on. This side, the hands just go up and down. Mine are a little bit stiff, but they go up and down in a regular swivel motion rather than a roll the dice. The ab crunch is pretty good. It goes that far back, and it bends only that far forward. But considering, again, he is an armored figure, that's pretty good motion. And the fact that he actually is a flying character with that backpack, he's able to go that far up. So it's pretty good, because most of you are probably going to have him flying like that. So it helps with his looking up motion. So I guess that's where they kind of made up with it. There is no waist swivel or anything of the sort. His legs will actually go out that far, which is pretty good, because as you've seen with some of my previous reviews, when I've reviewed an armored figure like Captain Phasma, her legs wouldn't go that far out. Again, they really made everything here with a soft type of rubbery plastic, which really adds to his articulation. There is a thigh cut, which is nice. So it's a little tight, but it's good. He does have double jointed knees. Let's see if I can get that. There we go. Which bend in that far, which is pretty good, but putting the leg back any bit is going to get hindered with this kind of like cloth piece that's supposed to be back here, but obviously it's plastic. It would have been cool if they made it actually cloth, just because this is supposed to be a deluxe figure, so that would be cool. But the part that really impressed me was the fact that his ankles actually have some pretty good articulation. They go that far back, which is really good, and they go that far up, which is an okay amount. But he has some really good ankle pivot, considering that he does have this foot guard right here, or shin guard, and so that's pretty neat. All right, so let's just put on this weapon real quick. Again, like I said, you plug it into the back. It doesn't really sit flush against the back. There's a bit of a gap there, and I've tried putting it in anymore, and it just doesn't want to go, but that's okay. And then we've just plugged that type of hose part in, and it just sits in there. And let's get his minigun out. And as you saw in the beginning of the video, I already had it in his hand. And so now we're just going to put it in here live on the camera, I guess. So you can see that it slides in. I found it easier this way for him to hold the back handle with his hand facing out like this, because I've seen some people do it like this and it just faces down too much, where it's just facing down, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I personally switch his hand around. And this is the part where I was saying, I don't know, maybe I'm putting it on him wrong or something. Let me know down in the comments down below. But what was the point of Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series giving us a trigger finger with a roll of the dice hand motion moving up and down, almost like a karate chop motion, if he's going to have to hold the handle back here like this? Which it doesn't look bad, but it's like, I do wish it went up a little bit more, just because it is kind of hindered, and kind of hard to kind of weave his fingers into the handle just due to the fact that he has a trigger finger sticking out, so they're not all even holding the grip or the handle. But then he has this handle right here, which has a trigger on it for this finger, or sorry, this hand, which kind of has a trigger finger on it, which I like this hand better and molded. The sculpt of it is a lot better, and you could just flip it around, so it has like this swivel right here, which is really neat. And you can just have him holding this out right there, and once you plug it in, you're all good to go. And then you could just have him kind of pose to your liking of wherever you want him, pointing the little minigun thing, and so you can have him like that. So that looks really cool. Yeah, very, very nice. I really like that. One thing I do want to mention is that if you have some Marvel Legends Iron Man blast effects, I grabbed my orange and yellow ones just because I think it fits better rather than the blue ones. But these will actually plug in to the peg holes at the bottom of, let's see, you can see, if you'll focus, the peg holes at the bottom of his jetpack. There you go. See those right there. So there we go. Now focused. So those right there, you can actually get these, and it's a perfect fit. You just slide them in there. Slide them in there. Oops, I accidentally moved the camera just a tad. Let's see. There we go. And now he has some jet effects, which look pretty cool. So now you can have him on a flight stand like that, and that looks really, really cool. Now I don't know if that was intentional, just due to the fact that obviously, even though these are from Hasbro as well, they're from like the Marvel department, and so but I think it's pretty neat that it just so happens to be a perfect fit, and they look really good. And this is probably how I'm gonna have them displayed, just because I do have a bunch of these. I don't have any effects that are going to fit on here, just because there are no holes in here. It's kind of molded where it's capped off, so nothing's really going to put a stick on there. I mean, I guess you could, I don't have the blue ones with me. I think a blue one would fit better with there, but you know how you can actually take these off. You can probably use some like sticky tack and place it on there, and that'll look pretty cool. So like for some ACBA shots or some toy for photography or whatever. Now, while I do have this one off, let's get this minigun out of his hand, and I'm going to put it back on his jetpack again. Another place where there so happens to be a hole for a peg is right here on this kind of like arm blaster. I don't remember what this was actually used for. I don't remember if it was actually like a flamethrower, because I know the Mandalorian, the main character, he has a flamethrower kind of device on his arm. I don't remember if this was more of like just an additional gun, or if it was a flamethrower type of gun. I imagine it's a flamethrower, considering that there's a hose connecting it to the rest of the backpack, or the jetpack. But you can actually get this and place it in there, and that looks really, really cool. See? So you can have that for some shots as well. I know I'm not doing the best posing right now. I don't pose very good on camera. On my shelf, it looks a lot better. One thing I will say that my main gripe about this figure is that I do wish this type of hose peg thing going on here was a bit of a softer plastic. It's a little hard. I wish it was a little bit softer, so that way it could have that pliability. Because it kind of feels like it's starting to wiggle out a little bit more, and I'm kind of afraid of it breaking. I wish it was more of a rubbery material that gave it a little bit more, give or bend to it, because I feel like you could really only have this plugged in here if you have his arm all the way down, and in a certain area, or any further, it's going to start pulling on it right there. You're starting to see a gap a little bit where it's supposed to be like that. So, overall, I think this figure looks really good. So let's get into some size comparisons now. Okay, for size comparison, here we have the Mandalorian, the standard retail release. There we go. And obviously, yes, this is with the upgraded cape from Rebel 10 Customs and my custom blaster that I painted up to make it a little bit more show accurate. Looks pretty good. One thing I was going to say is that this guy is huge. Again, like I'm not sure if they just made Mandalorian a lot smaller, or if this is accurate to scale. I do know that he was a lot bigger in the show just because he is this big, big guy, but I did not know he was going to be like this huge in comparison. I think they do fit into scale. Obviously, they are from the same line, and yes, Baby Yoda is here too, or the child, whatever you want to call him. I think they all fit perfectly into scale. I will say the one thing that I do like a little bit more about the heavy infantry Mandalorian is that he has a little bit more of this kind of like black wash on his armor pieces, which make him look a little bit more dirty and like a little bit more scuffed. And I think that's pretty cool, and I like that. I think the paint apps came out a little bit better on this guy. However, I do like the articulation on this guy a little bit better. But with saying that, this one, he is a lot thinner, and this one, obviously, he is quite the chunky boy. So he doesn't have as much room to move around and pose. But the posing is actually pretty good considering the size of him. So let's see. And for one more comparison, we will have Jedi Master Deadpool with an Infinity Gauntlet. Of course, as always, we have to have my Kit Bash Jedi Master Deadpool, just because that's hilarious. And so this is just like a general Marvel Legends scale 6-inch figure, and you can still see that this guy is just a hair taller. He's slightly bigger, and that's not such a bad thing. But just for a general comparison, so this guy is about exactly 6 inches, so that means he's probably 6.5 inches. Not too bad, but I still really like this figure. So for my final thoughts, I will say that this figure is really, really good. He has some really good paint apps. Some things that they didn't have to paint, they still painted. They painted all these little kind of like buttons on his belt. They even painted the ones on the inside right there, these little buttons and pouches and all that. And it just looks really, really good. I'm very impressed with the articulation. I like seeing the steps that Star Wars, the Black Series Hasbro is taking with their Star Wars figures, that they're incorporating butterfly joints now, which help with articulation, and they're incorporating that type of neck joint system, and all of it just looks really good. And so I'm very excited to see the new upcoming figures that they're going to have. Whether it's characters we've seen before, characters that are getting redone. I just want to see them do a lot more characters with this kind of type of articulation, where there are, butterfly joints and these type of neck joints and so on. And I think it just looks really good. And so he's going to look really good on the shelf next to the Mandalorian and some other figures that I have on the way. So yeah, overall, I give this guy a solid 10 out of 10. I'm very, very happy with it, especially for the price point I got him at. Like, I never found this figure in store. I saw some people, getting him and finding him on store when I was watching his videos on Instagram and so on, but I could never find him in store. And so now I'm very happy that I have him, especially really for the price point that I paid for him. I paid like, I think $32, maybe 33, I'm not sure, which is pretty good considering the fact that he only goes for like $29.99 in store if you can find him at retail, and people are selling him for like $50 online. And so I was able to get a steal of a deal, and the package came perfect, and there was nothing wrong with it. I actually felt kind of bad taking him out of the package because I kind of wanted to keep him in there considering how big he was. But I'm very, very impressed with this guy. I highly recommend you guys get him. It's a really, really good figure if you can get him at a really good price, or if you have him already, take him out of package, pose him around. If you do have him and you have posed him, tell me what you think about him in the comments down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, give me a follow on Instagram. Go look at my Instagram page. I'll probably put that in the description of this video. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching this on Instagram, go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe over there. Follow me on Instagram. Comment down below what you guys think. Let's have a conversation about some figs. All right, you guys. Have a blessed day. See y'all later. Peace.